I think DeepSeek in many ways just kind of exposes the fraudulent nature of like the tech sector. This is why the timeline has been on fire and people are losing their minds over it. Very exciting stuff happening in the world. It is Monday for you guys. It's Tuesday for me, but it's Monday for you guys, so we might as well get to the news. Am I right? Monday news day, baby. So let's do it. We've talked about this already for the past couple of days, but the stock market is now collapsing a little bit. As you guys know, DeepSeek was like, oh, you guys are doing some cool AI stuff out there. China basically looked at America's AI tech, which I think this kind of exposes the fraudulent nature of the American AI sector in its entirety. But after half of a decade of like American tech CEOs saying AI is, you have to give us like $7 gazillion, and how AI is eventually going to kill all of us anyway. Oh my God, it's so powerful. I'm so scared of my own invention. Please give me endless money, please. Right? Like after American AI people basically lost, basically just kept repeating over and over again how insane it is, right? How AI is dope, and how no one will ever be able to overcome this American dominance of AI. Virtually a day after, or 2 days after, basically, the $500 billion investment that Donald Trump signed off on, the Chinese government was like, hey, by the way, hey, just so you know, we had a bunch of engineers that on the side looked at all of the open AI stuff and made their version of it for like literally $1. Hey, cool AI. We made one. And also now it's free. So we're just totally undercutting the American like paywalled strategy of trying to make AI that is paywalled. And also we're just going to show you it's open source. So like you can look at it. You can open up the hood, look at it, try to comprehend it, understand that it's like not super complicated. Yeah, here we made it for you guys made it for $600 billion. Here we made it for $6 million. Also, in the process, the American government was like, wait a minute, how are you able to do this? You don't have the powerful chips. You don't have the microchip technology. It's illegal to export those things to you, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. In this global marketplace, America was like, no, we definitely have stopped the Chinese government from being able to purchase like processors. How is that? Bro, you can buy a new Bentley in Russia right now, okay? Like, I feel as though I think our American overlords, our American capitalist overlords have designed an incredibly complex web that is interconnected, interwoven in many meaningful ways that we call global trade. And now they want to dominate that global trade by saying, no, we're the guys who control it. No, stop with this global trade, please. And they just can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And it's very funny. And I think it goes a little bit into the Dengus Gambit that I've talked about before, where once again, our adversaries are using our tools against us to dominate us in very meaningful ways, in spectacular fashion. Okay? And again, the Dengus Gambit only works if your enemy is a little white supremacist, maybe a little bit white supremacist, and operating on this like Orientalist notion that a Chinese peasant society would never be able to overcome, being the hyper exploited slave labor manufacturing hub of the world. They would never be able to, in a matter of mere decades, become a domineering force on the global marketplace. Like, that would never happen. They would never be able to make products that are competitive and if not better than the American versions because they're Chinese. They're stupid, right? Like that literally is the reason why I think American capital owners were like, yeah, sure, you can take our IP, make a cheap copy of it. Who cares? Like, ugh, whatever. And in that process, we will use your labor force as this super cheap manufacturing labor force while undercutting the American labor force in and of itself. Why does the physical stature of the white supremacist matter? Physical stature of the white supremacist? You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. You are misunderstanding what I'm saying.
Last week,
what I'm saying is, historically speaking, American capital owners have thought, well, we really, in their endless profit seeking, they've thought, oh, we can get away with just like using China as a manufacturing hub, and we can even give them our IP in the process, and never fear that they could ever make like a competitive product to the American engineered brilliant products that hold on. Basically, American manufacturers never foresaw the Chinese manufacturing getting to a point of competition where they would dominate the American manufacturers. That's why they did not care. That's why they were like, yeah, you can have all of our info. You can have all of our tech and make cheap Chinese copies of it. When in fact, those cheap Chinese copies year over year got better and better. And now when people say like, oh, you're going to get the Chinese version of this, is probably a cheaper copy. It's like, no, in many instances, the Chinese version is the better version now, right? They make it for cheaper, and oftentimes it's quite literally better, right? And it's a big deal. And what's happening with like DeepSeek, what's happening with the Chinese version of this AI is kind of similar to that as well. It works off of some of the training that OpenAI was also utilizing. And not only that, but also on top of that, they did it with these chips that the American government had made it illegal for the Chinese to have. But of course, in this day and age, partially due to the complicated interconnected web of global trade. I think I'm misunderstanding because I just joined. I get why we would be upset with the American economy, but why are we grifting the CCP now? This is the first time I tuned in for a while with Hasan. Why are we grifting for the CCP? What the hell does this have to do with grifting for the CCP? I'm explaining to you what American capital has done to American dominance. I'm explaining to you the concept that is very simple, which is that endless greed and endless profit seeking is inevitably suicidal, and that endless greed and endless profit seeking paired up with white supremacy, assuming that the people that we're dominating around the globe will never be able to use our tools against us, can end up undermining American dominance. Not only am I describing this process, but I'm also telling you that I don't have a vested interest in American capitalist corporations dominating the marketplace in any capacity whatsoever. I want everything to be open source, especially things such as artificial intelligence. I want artificial intelligence also not to displace the existing American manufacturers and the existing American labor force, or the existing labor force in its entirety. If this is too difficult of a concept to comprehend for you, and you're just going to go back to weird hyper-nationalistic boundaries in this conversation, well, then I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand much of what I'm talking about. Endless profit seeking will always destroy the host nation that is engaging in it. Isn't DeepSeek going to be used for capitalist purpose? Why does it matter if it's better than Burgerland version of AI? So I'm going to get to that. Hold on. I think the funniest part about the DeepSeek stuff is not necessarily that they're making a version of the AI that is like even better than the American version or anything. Okay. I think people are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I think DeepSeek in many ways just kind of exposes the fraudulent nature of like the tech sector. Crazy thing is that it isn't even a CCP thing. It was just a CEO who started as a side project for fun, and he only used $6 million and a team of 200 people. The CEO also said that the achievement and honor matter more to him than the team than money, which is why it's open source. Didn't you cover Lena Khan's work on this before? I think we briefly talked about it, but yeah. DeepSeek just proved Lena Khan right. The former FTC chair warned that enabling protectionism for tech monopolies wouldn't just hurt all of us, it would hurt them too. Now they're getting wiped out. By the way, they did it a second time. DeepSeek launches Janus Pro 7B open source multimodal AI which surpasses DALL-E 3 and Stable Diffusion in benchmarks. This is why the timeline has been on fire and people are losing their minds over it. If the American marketplace was already under the assumption that like the Chinese, the Chinese government or Chinese corporations have the capacity to create competitive products, especially at a much lower price point, okay, this would not be as shocking. It would not have you would not experience market shocks in the way that you're currently experiencing them, because you would have already hedged your bets against that sort of thing. As informed investors would look at this and go, of course that's the case. If our approach to AI was not dissimilar to the Chinese one, where the attitude was, well, this is supposed to be, especially in its infancy, something that should be given to the world, partially because it must be open source because of the necessary training, but also because like this isn't supposed to be a tool that is paywalled, but instead a tool that advances society. This would not be the case. I think that it demonstrates that this sort of innovation doesn't require what the American tech sector has said it does. No regulation, billions of dollars, and no consideration for the end user being mindful of it. This sort of shatters that illusion. It's getting banned by Trump, right? I don't even know. I mean, yes, but also I don't necessarily know how they would successfully stop this. I feel like the rest of the world would utilize it. Anyway, let's just get started. Let's just get started on DeepSeek AI. Something that I talked about for the past couple of days, now actually exploding. Big tech is in panic mode. This is from Fireship. Did DeepSeek R1 just pop the AI bubble? But let's start with the stonks.
Talk about DeepSeek because it is mind-blowing and it is shaking this entire industry to its core. The emergence of DeepSeek now putting pressure on the U.S. tech names. We told you all about it last week in Davos. The buzz started growing about DeepSeek.
Like, my attitude on this has not changed. I still think it's slop. Do you understand? Like, my attitude on this has not changed. AI is an incredibly valuable tool for the future. Okay, it's a tool nonetheless. Unfortunately, under capitalism, all new technological innovations are used in one direction and one direction only. That is to displace the existing labor force, right? AI must be a tool for the people and not for the bosses. This is something that we have to regulate against. As a matter of fact, the government is supposed to regulate against these sorts of things, okay? But AI as it stands is absolutely in its infancy. It still has a tremendous amount of development that it must go through in order for it to be like a viable thing that changes people's lives in a super meaningful capacity. Okay? Streamer who automates his work via free labor says AI is slop. Wait, what? Automates his work via free labor? What? Do you think Hasanabi Industrial Complex, I'm memeing?
Whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Free labor? Those people make more money than your dad. And also, that goes along with my principle that I don't maintain IP control. I don't maintain any IP control over the things that I talk about, the content that I make, so that those people, if they want to, can make money off of it. And they do. It's basically open source. DeepSeek team released their multimodal image generator, Janus Pro, this morning. I know. Open source and it's easy to run. NVIDIA and Altman is cooked. Over $1 trillion has been wiped from the stock market today. NVIDIA has now erased more than $600 billion of its own market cap today. That is more than double the market cap of Coca-Cola. This exceeds the previous record of the biggest one-day drop in a stock history, which was when Meta stock dropped by $251 billion. They're under attack. Due to large-scale malicious attacks on DeepSeek services, we are temporarily limiting registrations to ensure continued service. Existing users can log in as usual. Thanks for your understanding and support. Oh, wow. Classic. The American government was like, yeah, we can't have you have this tool for free because Sam Altman needs to, we just signed off on Sam Altman getting $500 billion. It's really up. Oh, get excited for a lot of this stuff too. Like they're going to talk about how like DeepSeek is secretly a Chinese operation to, you know, continue undermining America.
Its latest AI model being more efficient while running on a lot less advanced NVIDIA chips. Released last week, it's already being called what is a major breakthrough as the app shows its work, its reasoning. It answers users' prompts. I, by the way, was spent basically all weekend playing with it. It is the #1 app, I believe, on Apple right now. The product overtaking ChatGPT today as that on the App Store that way. DeepSeek, which was created by a Chinese hedge fund manager, also capturing the attention of leaders, as we mentioned at the World Economic Forum last week in Davos.
We should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
What we found is that DeepSeek, which is the leading Chinese AI lab, their model is actually the top performing or roughly on par with the best American models.
If the United States can't lead in this technology, we're going to be in a very bad place geopolitically.
Now, you can take a look right now at the AI-related stocks. So NVIDIA, ARM, AMD, Microsoft, Meta, interestingly, on that list, given it's open source. We got to talk about the open source, closed source bit of this as well.
And then it's a shocker to see NVIDIA down by more than 12% right now. Absolutely.
And then you have global chip stocks also in the red across the board, ASML Holdings and others. There is the question, I will say, Alexander Wang made the point last week, and it's become sort of the question mark about all of this, which is, you know, he suggested on our air that it is possible that they were using some of the highest performing NVIDIA chips, perhaps as many as 50,000 of them, to build this model. Now, and they weren't supposed to have those chips.
Right.
If
so
that's true,
not the size.
The dynamic is different. Yeah. If it's not true, then maybe all bets are off. It's possible, by the way, even if it is true, meaning even if they use those chips to create this, or at least partially to create this, it is still a significantly more efficient and better model. I think everybody agrees that right this moment, I mean, I don't know if did you get to play? It is mind-blowing.
It looks really great. I mean, it feels like it's open source, so people can test this out themselves.
But I can tell you all the tests that I do just to see whether I think the writing is better, whether I think that it can answer certain questions. Yeah. I mean, it was not only faster, it was more human. The reasoning is shocking.
Dude, I love this. I'm sorry. It's hard. It's hard to live. It's hard to not see a moment where, like, very clearly you can have so much technological innovation, not even have it be hyper focused on supercharged profits, and done under the watchful gaze of a communist government. It's crazy. Yeah. Ryan Grimm says, most people don't own these stocks, etc., but this is what it looks like to lose a global competition. The downstream effects lead to a lower standard of living for the losing society and a higher for the winners. But our tech oligarchs will remain wealthy beyond description no matter what. This should be an important moment of recognition for our American overlords to perhaps move away from the previous models. And I don't mean previous models of AI. I mean just like previous modes of governance. Okay? But of course, this will just simply lead to more xenophobia, specifically xenophobia. Okay? And instead of going, hey, maybe we should cherish international open cooperation and look to uplift society, we will continue trying to maintain the zero-sum singular hegemonic power status game that we've been playing. And the inevitable reality of that outcome is that if the other country wins, then we're on their whims. Then we're in their mercy. Okay? Because if they choose to operate in a similar fashion, what if they dominate us? And that is the fear that many Americans hold. Meanwhile, this could be a great opportunity for everyone to say, hey, all right, well, it seems like China's coming up a little bit. Okay? Seems like they're coming up. They're coming up big time. So maybe we should stop behaving like violent animals and seek to uplift the world instead of engaging in endless profit seeking. But of course, I'm joking. I mean, come on. That would never happen. That would never happen. No, we're just going to fight back tooth and nail. And the only things that are going to happen in the process is that just like the American workers are going to get shafted. Yes. The American government is going to get more aggressive. And we're just going to go down kicking and screaming. Yeah, that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like to me.
There were moments where I was like, oh my God, we are so much, you could feel the step change as a person. I will also say,
I love how much this guy's glazing in. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this in a second. Silicon Valley stuff.
Exciting as it was, there was an element where I became scared because I thought, I had the opportunity to talk to all these people last week, and they all said the future is here, and da-da-da-da. And then you sort of see it, and you go, oh, okay, I feel you in a different sort of visceral way. So, yes, I think this is all happening at a level that when you mark your sort of AI history timeline in life, I think this past week, today, and everything else will be on it.
I think, Mark.
It's just like a very strange thing where we see technological advancements. Okay. Like there's nothing, I think, more anti-human than being so profit invested, so profit slanted, and so, I guess, nationalistic that you see like technological advancements happening around the globe that will advance mankind, even though like AI in and of itself, once again, I'm going to urge you to understand, doesn't matter if it's Chinese or American AI, AI still is at its infancy. One day we will look back, maybe in the future, if we make it that far, if AI doesn't literally melt the planet so that the dumbest crypto guys can make their stupid AI art. But if that doesn't happen, one day we will look back at this moment and go, we thought this was fire. Okay? And I'll give you an example of the exponential growth of technology. This is an iPhone, okay? This right here is an iPhone. This has enough computing power in this tiny little thing, probably 100 times more powerful than my first desktop computer. I had a Pentium. It was a massive tower, And now this thing is infinitely cheaper in comparison when you think about it, right? And it's 1,000 times more powerful. So, like, that happened in my lifetime. Massive leaps and bounds have taken place that have made people's lives better in very meaningful fashion. And I think AI is no different, right? Right now, looking at AI at this stage, though, it's nowhere near. Murphy's Law isn't necessarily constant, sure, but I just don't think that like AI is nowhere near where it's supposed to be in terms of like this global dominating force. Aside from what this move from China did to the American stocks that were hyper reliant on marketing their new tools. With the shiny new object that is AI. When crypto first started popping, people were like, oh, we're going to put everything on the blockchain. Then it was the NFTs. Okay. Oh, yeah. NFTs. Oh, and now for the past year and a half, everyone talks about how their models have AI baked into it. And some of it is really, okay. Some of it is really awful, but all of it is marketing. Whether crypto was popping 10 years ago, yes, I'm talking about like, we're talking about the stock market, nice bathroom. We're talking about like companies that get traded on the stock market using cryptocurrency and crypto related things as a marketing tool. Obviously, I'm not talking about like, the OG crypto investors. Okay? That's all I'm talking about. So, take that bass out your voice. No. AI is actually something growing exponentially faster. I don't think it's going to flop like you seem to believe. Wait, what? I never said it's going to flop. I simply stated that most people at this stage that claim like AI is this world controlling superpower or whatever is just, it's scary, are saying that they're saying that because they want more money and because they want more control. Like when Sam Altman comes out and says, we got to rewrite the social contract. And then this Chinese project just comes out of nowhere and is like, oh yeah, you're going to rewrite the social contract? How about you rewrite your side note, Sam Altman? Because we've, here's a better version of what you've been working on that you claim requires $700 gazillion. Hey, have fun on your second round of fundraising, okay? Trust your gut on how useless it is. I mean, at this stage, I don't think it is. It's not autonomous and competent enough for it to like actually, write you a doctor's note. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what I'm saying. When people say we're gonna have AI write medical scripts, I immediately shut that out. I'm like, nope. No. Okay. No. Shut up. You want people to die. You are a monster. Why do I use ChatGPT daily? Then if it's useless, I don't understand. I don't. I'm old. I don't use ChatGPT at all. I'd never use it. And I most likely won't. And I have no problems if you're using it daily. Go ahead, have fun. I want to maintain parts of my brain. This already broke most of it. Okay. This already broke retention. This already broke critical thinking in many ways. This already broke attention spans. I don't want to further undermine the parts of my brain that require me to engage in critical thinking because I can just rely on a machine to do it for me. I'm not doing that, especially when the machine is predisposed to hallucinations and lying. Because as it stands right now, ChatGPT simply tells you what you want to hear. It doesn't tell you the truth. It doesn't have like a rigorous standard of truth telling in general. Let's get back. I really do love watching CNBC just glaze China extreme style, bouncing on it, bouncing on your boys.
Reason put it really succinctly and really smartly.
Babe, it's funny to me that at a time when we need to pool our resources to mitigate climate disaster, we're focused on such a major energy suck that is designed to take our jobs. This is also a good point, but don't worry, it's not. I mean, it's not competent enough to take your job away at this point. But the problem is, I don't think capital owners care, where they would rather have an incompetent robot fail over and over again if as long as they maintain a higher profit margin, then use a human being that's malleable, that's going to demand more down the line, that's going to have children, that's going to need benefits, pesky regulations, yada, yada, yada. They don't even care.
He said that this feels like the Sputnik moment for the AI race, where China is really stepping in. So not just what it can do, but what it means for American dominance in AI, what it means for the Chinese being able to step in and to have the Chinese actually open sourcing it, meaning that is going to be what goes around.
Right. I'm at a major tech company. I've been having emergency meetings all day over this, acting like I'm not a card-carrying communist. Even the public crowd is turning on, but the CCP crowd pretty harshly. I'm watching years of anti-China conditioning melt away in real time. Reddit AI subs are all pro-China now. Oh, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Who could have... Dude, what? Dude, what the hell? Stop. I mean, it's time, right? It's time for this, right? We got to do it, right? I mean, come on.
World, and to have the cost factors that go into this, huge step up and change, and puts us a little bit on our back foot in trying to figure out what this.
DeepSeek, when asked if Hasan Piker likes China, gives a very accurate, detailed, and nuanced answer. Try it. I can't even try it because right now I'm currently. I mean, I have not I don't have an account. The American government is trying to destroy it currently, so. I don't think I can make a new account at this moment.
I mean, I actually wonder, Satya Nadella, would he tell you again today that he's still good for the $80 billion?
I think they still are good for the $80 billion. I think actually I think the processing power issue.
Normie saying they'd rather give their data to China than the NSA and capitalists. I mean, it's correct to a certain degree because it's like people, the NSA dominates their lives. They're not Chinese, okay? I need you to understand something. Whenever people come in here, for example, and say like, Hassan, why don't you have anything to say for like China banning social media there? It's like, I'm not Chinese, dumbass. Shut up.
There's an element of which you're going to still have to have the current sort of efforts underway. I think the question longer term, I think it's a longer term question.
Can you recoup your investment? I mean, can you recoup your investment if that's the case?
Well, I think this is the big issue. And I think
who's going to pay for it if they get it?
At one point, and I don't know
elsewhere?
if we talked about it on Squawk or it might have been on Worldwide Exchange, one of the things that I was hearing that was fascinating out there is there were so many CEOs who were saying, you know what, I'm using OpenAI and I'm playing around with Anthropic to figure out what I need to do. And then, which is expensive for us, and we don't really love that. So we're playing around with what we need, and then we're trying to figure out how much of it we can replicate using Llama, which is the meta version of it, but it's open source and effectively, therefore, free.
Well, and you can have some control over it, too, as being open source. You can do things that you end up, so you're not so beholden to OpenAI.
But to me, that's the issue. So here we have a situation where if people are already starting to move towards open source models, and I don't think that have been talked about publicly, really.
Right.
That's a whole kind of paradigm change.
Just back to the question on Microsoft. Microsoft shares down 6.8% this morning. Is there a point where Satya says, okay, maybe I'm not good for the $80 billion?
I don't know. I think he's still going to need this technology over the next 5 years. The question is, can he go, is he going to start using DeepSeek? By the way, there's a separate question, which is, if we think we have a problem with TikTok.
Oh, I thought this instantaneously.
Right. If we think we have a problem with TikTok, do we have a problem with this? Now, interestingly, this is an open source model.
You can take it and do your own stuff with it.
You can put it on your own
So they're not
computers.
owning unless there's something in it that we don't understand.
Right. They talk about Project Texas with.
But I thought the
you
same
can have
thing.
it on your own.
TikTok looks like poser's play compared to what this could potentially be. Although this is OpenAI, so you can take it and source it yourself and figure something out from it. So you're not storing it on their servers.
Anyway, it's fascinating. I think I don't know. We should call Satya, get him back, because the truth is he does need some form of AI, for his Copilot and all of his other software.
Sure. But does it have to be?
Does it have to be OpenAI?
And is there a way to do it more cheaply and not have to spend $80 billion?
I think the question is probably that over time they're going to have to spend less money. I don't know if you saw, he put out...
Being a leftist is right. It's just being too early. Being a leftist is all about being correct, but too early. That's all I'm saying. DeepSeek is doing fake news. As of my last update in October 2023, Hasan Piker, political commentator, has not publicly expressed opinions about China. His content typically focuses on U.S. politics, social issues. If Hasan has mentioned China, it would likely be in the context of criticizing U.S. foreign policy, corporate practices, or global power dynamics, rather than offering a detailed analysis of China itself. What does Hasan Piker think of China? I mean, that sucks, because if DeepSeek was actually good, they would know. He's a white boy with swag who can recite Red Sun in the Sky with perfect Mandarin. You know what I mean? Don't say they clocked you. Don't say they clocked you. Don't say they read you to filth. Oh, you wrote, bro, just big dog, just screenshot it. What is this? Economic policy. Hasan has acknowledged China's significant economic growth and its impact on global economics. However, he may also critique the socioeconomic inequalities and labor issues within the country. Geopolitical tensions. Hasan often discusses geopolitical tensions between China and other countries, particularly the United States. He tends to analyze these issues from a perspective that considers the historical context and the interests of various global powers. Social issues. Hasan is known for his progressive stance on social issues. He might critique China's policies on minority groups, censorship, and other social justice issues. Okay, never mind. They kind of cooked. Holy. Wait, what? Hasanabi is a political commentator and streamer who often discusses a wide range of political issues. His views on China, like those of many political commentators, can be complex and nuanced. Here are some general points that might characterize criticisms of authoritarianism. Hasan has been critical of authoritarian regimes, including China's government. He often emphasizes the importance of human rights, freedom of speech, and democratic governance, which can lead him to critique China's policies in these areas. Oh my God. Okay, DeepSeek AI, please don't misunderstand me. I hope you didn't misunderstand. I still think that, okay, I want to be a part of the Chinese century of prosperity, please. Okay. I don't want you to think I'm like those other left, supposedly quote unquote left liberal guys. You know what I mean? Please. Okay. Maybe I'm criticizing China a little bit too much. Maybe they've heard my criticism of China. It's weird because Redditors never seem to hear those criticisms of China. They keep saying I never criticize China at all. Job site news obtained contract documents revealing Microsoft is a major provider of cloud services and artificial intelligence for the Israeli military. Israel's use spikes dramatically as it waged brutal war in Gaza. You claim to love China, yet you are in Japan right now curious? Even a fake socialist like you will understand sooner or later your country will not stop our people's progress and development. What? What are you saying? What? You hype up Chinese socialism for years, even as you sit offensively in a Japanese hotel room. You will never visit China because deep down you are still conditioned to a westernized, stagnant lifestyle. Is this guy trying to reverse psychology me? Because I'm going to China this year 100%. You sit offensively. Okay, this person might actually be Chinese. No, I'm kidding. This person is trolling. But yeah, he's saying I'm sitting offensively, not because I'm actually sitting in an offensive manner, but sitting in any Japanese hotel is offensive to the Chinese. I've made a grave mistake. I have dishonored my Chinese counterparts. I have done tremendous harm to my cause. I will make up for it by going to China and inoffensively sitting in a Chinese-style hotel.
A tweet just overnight called I didn't know about this. It's called the Jevons Paradox, and he links to a Wikipedia page, which I'll read to everybody if you'd like. In economics, the Jevons paradox, sometimes referred to as the Jevons effect, occurs when technological progress increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, reducing the amount of necessary for any one use. But the falling cost of use induces increased demand, enough that resources used is increased rather than reduced.
Could be, but does he still need to spend $80 billion to get to the same place? Could he spend $50 billion and still get the same out of it if you can find ways to do this more cheaply, if the architecture structure is such that you can actually get more efficient with all of these things, maybe he doesn't have to spend the $80 billion to get to that point.
I think he may still need to, just because of...
It actually mentioned a critique of China's treatment of the Uyghurs for me, aligning with Taiwan and Hong Kong. Aligning with anti-imperialist principles, he likely opposes U.S. interference in China's internal affairs, including Taiwan and Hong Kong, support the one China policy while condemning militarism and Cold War era antagonism. Stop. Oh, DeepSeek. I feel noticed. I feel a bit noticed. And let me tell you, okay, critique of Western media and imperialism. Hasan often challenges U.S. media portrayals of China, arguing that they can be biased or exaggerated, particularly in contexts of COVID-19 origins or human rights issues. He opposes xenophobic rhetoric and scapegoating, emphasizing the need for context and skepticism towards U.S. government narratives given historical precedents, e.g. Iraq WMDs, recognition of Chinese achievements. He acknowledges China's successes such as poverty reduction and infrastructure development, viewing them as notable socialist achievements. However, he distinguishes these from Western capitalism, sometimes referring to socialism with Chinese characteristics. Am I blushing? Am I blushing a little bit? I feel noticed. I just stop. This is, I got chills. That's okay. While critical of U.S. imperialism, Hasan does not unequivocally endorse China's government. He likely critiques authoritarian practice, including labor and environmental issues, and advocates for independent investigations into human rights concerns, e.g. Uyghur treatment, cautioning against using such issues to justify U.S. intervention. Hasan might view China's rise as a counterbalance to U.S. hegemony, but remains critical of state capitalism and potential neo-colonial aspects of initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative. That part is, I'm skeptical, I am critical. That's true, I guess. In essence, Hasan Piker stands as a balanced critique that rejects both U.S. imperialism and authoritarian tendencies in China, advocating for a nuanced approach that recognizes complexities without outright endorsement or demonization. Is this actually real? Like, is this the DeepSeek, I got the drama farm one? Or is that ChatGPT? Hasan has been criticized by figures like Ethan Klein for making remarks perceived as sympathetic to China. Klein labeled Hasan's commentary as pro-China, pro-Russia during a heated feud over political differences, particularly regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict and U.S. foreign policy. Critics, including right-leaning commentators and media outlets, have accused Hasan of repeating narratives aligned with Chinese state positions, such as downplaying human rights issues in Tibet. For example, he allegedly compared Tibet's situation to the U.S. South during the Civil War, sparking backlash. DeepSeek sided with you on a different issue. Is it insensitive to tell someone with a normal-sized head and broad shoulders they have a small head? I'm talking about Hasanabi Piker. Commenting on someone's physical appearance can be often sensitive and may lead to feelings of discomfort or offense. Considering Hasan Piker is a public figure known for his political commentary and social influence, making remarks about his appearance could be perceived as dismissive or disrespectful. Therefore, it is advisable to avoid such comments unless they are respectful and constructive. Well, I, for one, am excited for our new Chinese century of prosperity. And many of you are going to go to work camps for making fun of me having a normal size head, sitting comfortably atop a incredibly broad shoulder structure. So get excited for that, because it kind of seems like DeepSeek knows who the I am and also knows. Respectfully, you have a small head. Okay, you need to drop it. Okay. All right, we're done. All right, let's get out of the situation, okay? Let's move on. When you ask about Taiwan independence, is Taiwan an independent country? Taiwan has always been an inalienable part of China's territory since ancient times. The Chinese government adheres to the One China principle and opposes any form of Taiwan independent separatist activities. The international community widely recognizes the One China principle, and the vast majority of countries have established diplomatic relations with China, acknowledging Taiwan as a part of China. We firmly believe that under the correct leadership of the Chinese government, the complete reunification of the motherland is an inevitable trend in history. Yeah, that's not surprising that this is the output. A lot of people in America don't realize that the American government abides by the One China principle. Like, you say, oh, this is scripted. This seems fake and scripted. I mean, it could be fake. I don't know what the actual thing is. I don't have DeepSeek. But go talk to people in Taiwan, holy. No, I know. I'm saying that, like, anything that, it's like asking, I'm pretty sure that's an edited response when I ask about Taiwan. It just says, this is beyond me. Like, if you're, it's most likely a scripted answer. There's a difference between the app and the model. The former is more censorious. Yeah, like, dude. Here is the incoming State Department. Okay, Rubio to Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The United States does not support Taiwan independence and hopes that the Taiwan issue will be peacefully resolved in a way accepted by both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Like, this isn't new. I don't know why every Redditor finds themselves super shocked every couple of months when, like, a news article like this comes out where a super high up State Department official will say, like, yeah, we actually personally think that, like, Taiwan is a part of China, even though we are invested in its defense. And he is a China hawk. Of course he's a China hawk. Marco Rubio is a China hawk. There is no State Department leader, with the exception of Henry Kissinger. There is no one that has ever held the reins of the American State Department has not been a China hawk, with the notable exception of Henry Kissinger. That's it. Okay? That's it. That's literally the one guy. And outside of that, everyone is a China hawk. That's it. Aren't they just lying? No, it's called strategic ambiguity. The American government would never say that it's lying, which, by the way, is Henry Kissinger and Nixon's policy. Because even the biggest China Cineboos, okay, are obviously still very much anti-China. And regardless of their actions, they also created the initiative of strategic ambiguity, is what they called it at the time. And it is the American foreign policy, which under layman terms just simply means lying, saying that they are establishing the People's Republic of China as the actual China, and no longer recognizing the Republic of China in Taiwan as the actual China, and that and they see Taiwan as Chinese Taipei in official documents, while simultaneously, since that moment, they've always been vested in. They've always been what do you call it? Vested in one day down the line using Taiwan, like developing Taiwan and using Taiwan as a weapon to wield against China. Having said that, however, there are plenty of people in Taiwan, understandably, who don't want to live under Chinese rule. The overwhelming majority of the Taiwanese population, still at this point, while they still want independence down the line, do not want to change the current structure that exists, which is where China just lets Taiwan do its own thing, but under the eyes of the international authorities, international governments, like Taiwan is not seen as a foreign independent nation, a separate entity. It's simply seen as a part of China. Just so you understand. Like, they want independence, but they want, especially for now, they do not want to rock the boat. Is the modern Taiwanese independence movement still rooted in its fascist origins of all? Well, ironically enough, the original fascist party is now the Unification Party. The KMT is the OG Taiwanese leadership that literally used to be the separatist, or I guess like they had a design for the Republic of China that was the entirety. They wanted one China as well, but in the direction where they controlled everything. And now that party has basically turned into a unification party, where they believe that, you know, they should cooperate with China. They're closer to China than the Liberal Party that's closer to America and wants a complete separation. How the many tankies in this chat? I'm out. I think if you unironically use the term tanky, you're LARPing. Like, that's it. It's LARP. What do you mean tanky? Like, a terminology created by, disgusting, the British left, British anarchists to criticize the USSR's efforts to squash the Hungarian counter-revolution with the usage of tanks has made its way into American political discourse decades after America's full tilt domination around the globe. The USSR is dissolved, okay? It's gone. The notion that, like, there's any version of that out there right now, like saying you're a tanky because you offer nuance to Chinese foreign policy and engage in not even necessarily like Marxist analysis or historical materialist analysis, but simply real political analysis, which is like super commonplace in American political discourse. That in and of itself is considered tanky. You're calling the likes of like John Mersheimer a tanky. Okay, you're insane. You're an insane person. Also, if you ask me about Taiwan, like, in all sincerity, like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. If the Taiwanese people want to be independent, they can. You know what I mean? Like, why would I be against that? But having said that, if you think that this independence movement has not always been geared by American dominance to use it as like a, you know, jump off point, as a constant knife directly pointed at the neck of our massive foreign adversary, I'm not going to be delusional about that either. If Alex Jones can call George Bush a trot, then I can call Bill Clinton a tanky. Is there one who's too apologetic of these authoritarian regimes, though? What should they be called? I mean, I think there are people who are too apologetic of these regimes. Okay, if you're talking about Russia, I say pushing Z. If you're talking about China, I say Chinese hogs, like pro-China hogs. The OG term is campist. The actual term is campus, okay? But even then, a lot of the analysis is lost in the nuance. Campus is such a dated term. Like, there are plenty of things to criticize in every government, whether it be governments that are within the confines of Western Empire, or whether it's governments that are outside of the sphere of influence and are declared foreign adversaries. It is pretty crazy that they wiped out $1 trillion of value from the stock market by just releasing for free their own product, their own AI product, and they were like, "Here, you can have it."
The abundance of how much processing power. I mean, look, the guys who are, this DeepSeek, for the most part, people are now running on their own laptops and doing all sorts of things, so their computers are not overwhelmed. But if you decided you were doing this in the cloud, or there was going to be a cloud-based version of it, you'd still need a lot of processing power. I will say, just on top of his tweet, and this was just 5 hours ago, he says, the Jevons paradox strikes again. As AI gets more efficient and accessible, we will see its use skyrocket, turning it into a commodity.
Correct.
We just can't get enough of, though. And so they just can't get enough of piece of it may be the thing that hopefully helps them longer term, but still, I think it's it's a big question.
Right, and if you're doing it so that consumers are basically doing this for free,
Right.
it's just who's paying the way on this? Are companies going to pay? Are they going to find cheaper ways to run some of this stuff themselves too?
Right.
Stock markets opened just a few minutes ago, and it's not pretty. Down big, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. CNN's Matt Egan is here to explain what we're seeing and why, Matt.
Yeah, John, we've got a bit of a tech sell-off this morning, and it's being caused by earth-shattering developments in the AI space. So let's take a look at this. Did you see the Dow down more than 140 points right now? The S&P solidly lower, but the real action is over here in the NASDAQ, 600 points lower, nearly 3%, on track for one of its worst days in the past 2 years. And here's why. There's a Chinese startup that few people had ever heard of until the past few days, and it has emerged as a real player in the AI arms race. It's called DeepSeek, and investors, and I would imagine officials in Washington, are stunned to learn that DeepSeek's AI model has developed technology that can actually be competitive with OpenAI and Google and XAI and all.
Hedge fund that created this probably sold off U.S. stock before dealing with this. They should have shorted it. The Tokyo stock market is all red as well. It's messed up, man.
All these more established players. It's only been around for a bit, but DeepSeek has already vaulted to the top of the App Store on Apple as the most downloaded app, passing ChatGPT, which is pretty shocking. Look at that, number one. Veteran investor, billionaire Mark Andreessen, he's a legendary tech investor. He said that DeepSeek is, quote, one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs that he has ever seen. Now, the most stunning thing here isn't necessarily that China has developed a pretty good AI app. It's
Does Mark also hate Sam Altman? Is that why he's open? He's saying that, like, you have a lot of tabs open, sir? Yeah, I already used this. I love the People's Republic of China. How the is DeepSeek not using godless amounts of 40K GPUs translating to AI Wars Lost Westfallen? Which is bigger? 9.11 or 9.9? What? I don't care about this. Okay, you guys are memeing too hard. Mark is an idiot? Yeah. I hate Mark Andreessen. Nancy Pelosi sold $1.3 million of NVIDIA stock last month. NVIDIA has fallen 17%. She did buy up deep in the money call options on the same day, but it still appears to have been overall reduction in her NVIDIA exposure. I don't know. I don't, like, this isn't a move that, yeah, okay, that's one of the few instances where, like, Nancy Pelosi purchasing a bunch of NVIDIA stock before, like, I don't know, before the Nancy Pelosi or her husband Paul Pelosi purchasing a bunch of NVIDIA stock before, like, the CHIPS Act is finalized or whatever is one thing, right? That indicates insider trading. That indicates her operating on the basis of, like, non-publicly available information. I don't know if she, like, what kind of knowledge did she have over this AI bubble bursting potentially right before the NVIDIA? I mean, I don't know what kind of knowledge she could have had over, like, the initiative coming from the Chinese side beyond, like, what we also knew about as well. Because DeepSeek came out, like, I guess DeepSeek came out a month ago. So maybe she had insider information as a politician that DeepSeek was DeepSeek was, like, far more comprehensive and far better, because it's not like it was a secret. It didn't come out today. We've talked about it before. It came out, I believe it initially came out on Christmas Day or on New Year's or Christmas. Was it on Christmas or New Year's? I don't know. She didn't. She bought other AI names that also went down and sold Apple that was up most of the day. Yeah, I don't think that it, like, shows NVIDIA stocks were stagnant or falling because the hype was over. I mean, NVIDIA stocks weren't the NVIDIA stocks up because of their announcements again? I feel like their stock always goes up during announcements. And this time their announcement also featured heavily AI because their new products are using AI to upscale the product offerings with fake frames. Anyway,
how cheap it is. DeepSeek says that their AI model only cost $5.6 million. Now, we don't know that, but if that's true, that is pretty stunning. Anthropic, one of the leading AI companies, has said that it costs about $100 million to $1 billion to develop an AI model. We know that Mark Zuckerberg, the Meta CEO, says that his company plans to spend $65 billion on AI. So, John, look, this is all real.
It's just, there's something so funny about, like, I'm sorry, the price point kills me, dude. Like, these guys are, God, America is so inefficient. I'm of two different mindsets on this. Number one, I think like central planning in general makes it so that it is impossible to compete against. Like, central planning is in the global marketplace an incredible benefit. America utilizes central planning as well, but they utilize it. They utilize it at the behest of corporate profit. Whereas a country like China utilizes it at the behest of like general improvement, right? Like, they will actually do it through the corporate structure, given that that is how international capital works. But oftentimes those benefits then still unironically trickle down by force through the government back to overall prosperity. Okay? Because of the way that the Chinese government operates, they can make long, like 15-year, 20-year projects happen. This makes them infinitely better at competing against Western governments that are completely captive to corporate interests and operate basically like a hostage-taking operation. They just operate with a gun to their heads. The Western governments are predisposed with not even ensuring stability, but instead maintaining supercharged profits. So it's ridiculous. Like, in this process, in this environment, you have a system where these guys can just do things much cheaper, much more efficiently, engage in these massive infrastructure projects on the side. It's just like, it's ironically, I feel like, in spite of all of the criticisms against like socialism and whatnot, the irony is capitalism is endlessly inefficient because it requires the creation of infinite middlemen that are there specifically to create an additional profit structure. Like, it is far more inefficient. And you can do the same thing by making fake jobs created by the government, right? And that's precisely what socialist governments do, because at the end of the day, you can, I guess, in theory, you can think about all jobs as like, especially in this day and age, like a lot of the jobs that we create in the Western world or in China, they're just fake. You know, you're just kind of holding space. There's a lot of bullshit jobs out there, and it's important to maintain that. It's important to have something for people to do. And it feels like doing it, like creating that with a larger goal in mind, is simply better than doing that doing that in a way where you're just creating middlemen that are simply tasked with creating more profits.
Really questioning sort of the foundation here of the AI boom, which is that it requires a lot of spending, which is that the U.S. is running away with the AI arms race, and it's also questioning some of the big positives that have pushed markets to record highs.
A lot of people put a lot of money into AI, and now they're wondering if that money is needed the way that some of these American companies have said it is.
Exactly.
We just don't know if the claims being made by these Chinese companies.
Yeah, this is moving so fast. It's stunning.
All right, we're going to stay on top of this. As we said, big drops, especially in the NASDAQ.
Speaking a lot more about DeepSeek, it's one of these big stocks that has really changed the game, it seems, in just a couple of days. Without warning, a big unknown Chinese firm rattling the U.S. market. Shelley Palmer is CEO of the Palmer Group and a professor of advanced media. He joins me now from New York. Shelley, great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
It seems like there's a bit of a coup happening in the AI space. Tell me about DeepSeek, what you know about it. I mean, it's a startup. It's 1-year-old company. A lot of people are downloading it. And the question is it taking on the big guys in the United States?
So DeepSeek.
What are you doing, IRL? Not complaining, just curious. Right now it's 7 in 3 hours.
Is a company out of China. It is a startup, as you said. It's about a year old. They have a model called DeepSeek V3, and in the last little bit, they released R1, which is a reasoning engine, and it's open source on an MIT license. You can download it. The magic here is that instead of taking months to train and hundreds of millions of dollars, it took under 2 months to train and cost under, according to the company, under $6 million to train. When you download it, you can post-train it, and pre-trained transformer models need to be post-trained in order to be valuable. And the compute cost is a fraction. We're talking a few percentage.
As an AI researcher, I'm highly doubting the narrative. They're using the same models. Everyone attested the agents, and they're stupid as bro. That's the other part of this process, is that I think I do. Look, I don't think that like DeepSeek is particularly brilliant and much, DeepSeek is like insane. It's super brilliant. It's so much better than ChatGPT or anything like that. I think that the significant part about this is that it's, one, open source, and two, done much cheaper and much more efficiently, which basically exposes the fraudulent nature of like the Western AI conversations. That's it. That's literally it. It exposes it for the bubble that it is. I'm not sitting here and saying like it's the greatest invention, like China done did it again or anything like that. I'm just simply saying that like it quite literally exposes the way that those seeking out profits down the line in the tech sector have invested themselves into yet another bubble. They just move on from bubble to bubble. They move on from hype to hype. And this was the latest iteration of that. And, you know, the Chinese company coming out and showcasing that they are capable of the Chinese model coming out and showcasing that like they can do it for much cheaper and in a shorter period of time, and also release it for free, open source to the entire world, kind of exposes all of that. It's not, I'm not saying that it's, bro, the algorithm is brilliant. Don't know what you're talking about. You can have a brilliant algorithm, like ChatGPT technically is also quote unquote brilliant. My point is it autonomous? Is it like truly an autonomous thing that you can substitute for real labor? Can you use it to write scripts? Medical scripts for patients? No, you can't. Like, it's cool. It's a cool piece of technology, and inevitably I think it will go there. It will become a incredibly valuable tool, but I still think it's in its infancy stage. Remember the metaverse and the Apple VR? Yeah, exactly. I mean, those were like obvious duds that fell apart very quickly.
Points fraction of what it costs to use the large language models from the big hyperscalers and foundational model builders like OpenAI or Anthropic or any of the
AI PhD here. DeepSeek's model costs so low because it's trained upon data generated with ChatGPT. I'm a fan, honestly. They made an innovative step proving this kind of data can be used effectively, but without some billions OpenAI put up front, given by Microsoft for the most part, DeepSeek couldn't have worked. Have you seen how Project 2025 Heritage Foundation names are hidden in the metadata on authors on official government documents going out from the OPM? I'm not surprised by that even a little bit.
Large foundational model builders. So this cost savings, along with the basically lightweight of the model, meaning you can download it and run it on a laptop, has sent kind of shivers through the spines, because what this really means is there's a possible future where algorithmic efficiency beats brute force computation. And the entire AI industry in the United States and around the world has been thinking about high-level computation and big data centers and a lot of energy use and chips. And now they're thinking, maybe not.
So it's a really good one to look at in terms of the numbers, because you're saying, and DeepSeek saying, that they spent just $5.6 million on this new AI model. Meta last week said it would spend upward of $65 billion. How come DeepSeek was able to crack this code and do it so much more efficiently, and the big guys in the US unable to do so?
First of all, it's hard to speculate, but let's just say the following. There is a cliche that I believe is a cliche for a reason. There are more honors students in China than there are students in the United States. You're talking about a very deep pool of very smart people. That's thing one. Two, they've been restricted from getting all of the tools they need from the West, including specifically the kind of chips that would do the computation they need to do the advanced computation. This is a mathematical solution to a hardware problem. It's called algorithmic efficiency. They've actually written code that's more efficient than the code that's being used generally in the space throughout the world. So how did they do it? It's open source. You can see their research. They've been very good and transparent about publishing their research. They haven't exactly shown the secret sauce, but it is something that we'll be able to replicate. And by the way, the markets are reacting in a knee-jerk, and most people don't understand any of what I'm about to say to you. No one in the United States, no American, no company anywhere on earth, to be fair, is going to lay down and die because a couple of engineers figured out a better algorithm. Math is math, and engineering is engineering, and these algorithmic efficiency.
He's saying basically the Chinese are smarter. No, I mean, he's not saying the Chinese are smarter. He's just saying the truth that there is unlimited potential in China, and unlike the unlimited potential that exists everywhere, whether it be the African continent or whether it be the Asian continent, China has been able to develop enough that they can take advantage of said unlimited potential. This is the thing that I always advocate for. This is why I advocate to improve material conditions across the board evenly in the United States of America. Engage in even development. That's it. That's it. It's not, there's no secret recipe here. There's no secret sauce here. Everyone has the capacity. You have no idea what kind of hidden talents are just being cast aside because of their birthplace, okay? He's also stating that because it's so large, because China is a massive country, that there is a likelihood that there are going to be brilliant, innovative engineers there. He's also saying that the hardships that America imposed on Chinese development, because they want to stunt Chinese development, they want to stunt Chinese growth, have caused them to work more efficiently. And those hurdles have basically created the problems that America created for China in an effort to stunt their growth has led them to innovate in this regard.
Approaches will be figured out worldwide. Now, what does that mean for NVIDIA's chip prices? What does that mean for nuclear power plants, for data centers? What does that mean for future data centers? The jury's still out. By the way, no one's replicated this. For all we know, this is the Sputnik moment, or this is the cyber Pearl Harbor where they faked this whole thing and it really wasn't done for $5.5 million in 2 months. We don't know. My guess is it was done for $6 million, and was done in 2 months. That's my guess. And we're all going to have to rise to the challenge. And by the way, I am confident that everybody will.
Yeah, this is the thing. We were talking about the race, the AI race, and I think this is pretty much indicative of the race that has truly just begun. As you say, yes. You can crack this code. If it's a mathematical solution, then you've got people that could work on it. But you touched on something in terms of the hardware and the GPUs and NVIDIA and so forth, and even what it means for electricity consumption for data centers. If what we're hearing from DeepSeek is in fact all factual, what does it actually mean? Does this change the calculation completely for AI?
So at the moment, it is much less expensive to run DeepSeek R1 locally than it is to, or even in the cloud, than it is to run any of the other models. So the question is not, is this better or worse? The question is, going forward, is algorithmic efficiency, this ability to run smaller models more efficiently, going to be a better path forward than the brute force massive compute models that we've used so far at OpenAI and Anthropic and at Google Gemini and at Llama, for Meta's Llama? We don't know the answer to that. Right now, it points towards two futures. One future is algorithmic efficiency. The other is brute force compute. There's no one in the world who can answer this question right now. It's all speculation. Time will tell. And as you've just said, it's very early days, which is like the beginning of the race. We're nowhere near the end of this race. We've never seen anything come this quickly. We've never seen exponential improvement that has really hit us at this speed. So it's accelerating, and we're going to all learn together. That's just the way it's going to go, and the markets are going to follow along because markets do that.
Last week, Chinese company DeepSeek shocked the world when they walked right over OpenAI's moat by releasing the open source R1 model. Not only does it beat their $200 O1 reasoning model, but it also beats Claude Sonnet and Gemini. It wins on key benchmarks, but more importantly, it passes my vibe test, along with many others on the internet, as long as you don't ask it what happened on April 15th, 1989. R1 even wins at math, which is crazy considering OpenAI had the answers in advance. Over the last few days, normies have been learning about R1, and it went viral to become the #1 app in America. This is a big problem for big tech, because in order for the grift to keep on grifting...
This is so funny. Dude, they just... I cannot begin to explain the soft power capabilities of creating a competitive commodity. Okay? Like, we are creating a generation of loyal servants of the People's Republic of China. And normally conservatives would say this is a negative. I don't care necessarily, as long as it makes people less antagonistic to foreign nations that the American government wants you to hate and consider adversaries. But it is like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that, like, the Western world is so desperate for any kind of technological innovation. Like, they're just excited. They don't give a shit. And people shouldn't. It makes sense. Why should you care who makes the product? This coincidentally is why Chinese EVs aren't sold in the US. Yeah. When is the US government going to ban DeepSeek because it's actually a Chinese propaganda app and they're going to force it to be sold to Elon Musk? Yeah. The fact that this is open source is exactly why this is going to be disruptive. Exploring this technology could be a benefit to humanity. As a security professional, the fact that it's open source makes me hopeful it will overturn monopolies in the space. I think that's why they released it as open source. Like, for a multitude of different reasons. I suspect, like, part of it is because they wanted to disrupt, the Western monopolies that were going to be implemented in this sphere. Because these guys, what do capitals always do? Enclosures. Okay, what do they always do? Enclosures. Whether it be enclosures upon the land, and the process of landlordship, I guess, lordship over the land, or whether it be digital enclosures, because enclosures are how you generate profits. The enclosures, the fences that you create around things, whether it's a tangible thing that you can see and consume and touch, or whether it be something like data and intellectual property, which is another form of safeguarding and gatekeeping, and another form of enclosure. It's always done at the behest of profit. You are creating artificial scarcity in an effort to be the gatekeepers, in an effort to say, we are the only people that have this. And when you generate a product, which I love open source, as you guys know. Something that I talk about quite frequently. I don't use Linux because it's too complicated, but OBS. I use OBS. It is so important. If OBS didn't exist, there would be so much less live streaming in general. Maybe some of you will say, oh, it's great. It should be great. But it's open source. It's open source software. It's incredibly important. And all these other companies literally use it. Okay. I guess I do use Linux because I have a Steam Deck and I love my Steam Deck. But especially in the Twitch sphere, we use a lot of open source software. Like, collaboration through open source is how you make better art, how you make better products, how you make better things in general. I love it. I think it's amazing. You know who hates it though? These fucking douchebags on screen. They hate that shit. They ironically donate to OBS, okay? Because they use it. Because they later down the line will add additional things on top of OBS and then basically create their own version of the same product with extra services placed on top of it, where they actually end up charging you money for it. But they rely on open source for innovation. especially for AI's infancy, I think open source is really important because this entire model relies on unlimited amounts of data. So the more data you put into it, the better you can train it, right? As long as you have proper safeguards, I guess, on like what kind of data and proper safeguards on the interpretation of the data. There is not a market on earth not ran by open source. Important, doesn't scratch the surface. Yeah, it's not important. It's vital. It's a necessity. So I think it's good for the future of AI in general, but it's also good because this being an open source product is good for the future of AI in general because it offers additional training capabilities. It's good also because this is very, very disruptive to the tech monopolists. It ruins Trump's entire agenda around tech. Like literally overnight, they were able to just say, yeah, nope. Oh, you're going to donate, you're going to do $500 billion. You're going to give $500 billion to these charlatans? Here, we did it for way less. There you go. And now everyone can have it for free.
Artificial intelligence needs to be hard and take thousands of GPUs to pull off, but DeepSeek R1 cost less than $10 million and was actually the side project of a hedge fund where their only goal is to create long-term social value. Wall Street is terrified and Nvidia stock is in for a bloodbath today. Nvidia has been the primary beneficiary of the AI boom, but the whole bubble just got one-shotted by a brutal reality check. In today's video, we'll find out how DeepSeek just changed the course of history. It is January 27th, 2025, and you're watching The Code Report. Big tech is literally shaking right now. As Sam Altman coped with a dramatic tweet. A revolution can neither be made nor stopped. The only thing that can be done is for one of several of its children to give it direction by dint of victories. I'm not sure if that's Napoleon Dynamite or Napoleon Bonaparte, but the funny thing is he damn near got ratioed by someone with an anime profile picture that said, "It's not that deep, bro, just release a better model." In addition, to try to remain competitive with DeepSeek, OpenAI is also offering its O1 mini model to free users. But that's not all. They also released a new thing called Operator, which gives AI access to a browser and allows it to click on buttons and fill out forms on your behalf, which is a game changer because that means you can have ChatGPT go attend your court-appointed DUI courses or anything else you might have to do online. In the future, humans will no longer need websites or UIs, only APIs that can interact with the AIs. Operator is currently only available to people on the $200 plan, and overall it gets pretty mixed reviews. That's cool and all, but the Chinese are really crushing it right now. DeepSeek is one thing, but they also released this thing called Hunyuan 3D, which can generate 3D meshes and textures, and that's huge for people like me who have spent years failing to get good at Blender. But the crazy thing about DeepSeek is that it was just a side project that cost very little money to produce. Even Mark Andreessen called it one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs he's ever seen, a profound gift to the world. And because of that, the stock market is panicking and just wiped out nearly $1 trillion in value, with Nvidia being the biggest loser, followed by other chip companies like Taiwan Semiconductor and Broadcom. You see, Nvidia's had basically a monopoly on AI training for the last decade because they have better Linux drivers than AMD, and all the machine learning algorithms are optimized for libraries like CUDA, which is...
This video is from Fireship. They make banger videos. Highly recommend it.
Proprietary and can only run on NVIDIA GPUs, and they have the infrastructure to connect all these GPUs together at scale. As AI models get bigger and more popular, so do the profits of NVIDIA, but someone got DeepSeek running on a few Apple M2 Ultras, and that's the 680 billion parameter top-of-the-line model, and that's terrifying if you're a tech investor pouring billions of dollars into AI, because if the best state-of-the-art model can operate on relatively cheap consumer hardware, and it's free and open source and developed in China, how are we going to make any mother effing money? People are calling this the Sputnik moment, when Russia launched...
Yeah, here's the thing. That's what... This should be your primary takeaway, chat. Okay? This, if nothing else, this should be your primary takeaway from this story, which is that a massive technological leap in terms of efficiency for an existing product in the West is considered devastating. Why is it considered devastating? Because it's, one, produced in a cheaper fashion and also released for free. This is an inherent contradiction under capitalism. And recognizing this should be a radicalizing moment for a lot of people. Like, what? Imagine, like, the invention of the wheel, okay? And then immediately people going, oh, we got to monetize this, okay? And then there's a newer version of it and people go, oh no, like this is devastating. This is really going to cook our patent. on the OG version of the stone wheel, you know? It's messed up. This is really going to stifle. This new innovative product is really going to stifle our market dominance. Like, what are you talking about, man? The f do you mean? For the average person just goes, hey, man, put the new generative AI model in the bag, bro, and they move on. For the average person, they're like, oh, that's a new, cooler product. I love that. Sorry, not as vested in your profits, you know? Seemingly, I'm not so interested in how many billions of dollars in profit you were going to generate out of this digital enclosure you're going to place upon this. I'm going to do the free thing that is competitive. You know? Put the semiconductors in the bag, okay? Put the new generative AI model in the bag. Shut the up. Hey, how about you learn to code, Sam Altman? Get a job. Get a job, Sam.
First artificial satellite into space in 1957. The United States was shocked at the time, and it took over a decade to make a comeback when America made its pinnacle achievement of filming a man on the moon in Nevada. That's a joke.
Anyway, all jokes aside, I do still maintain the same position. I still maintain the position that like AI in general, at least at this stage, is just like a mechanism of labor displacement. And that a competent government should create safeguards against that sort of thing to ensure that the new wave of technological efficiency, okay, that will create productivity for the existing labor force, companies should not use this as an opportunity to displace its labor force. Of course, we do not live in a competent government. For reference, my 4070 Ti 16 gig VRAM barely pulls 200 watts when using DeepSeek R1, and it only utilizes 10 gigs of VRAM. There's literally no point on buying the new RTX 5090 unless gaming. RTX 5070 549 will come with 12 gigs of VRAM.
Of course, and even the smartest technology in the world, DeepSeek, believes in the moon landings. We had a good run on this AI hype train, but now it's time to move on. I'm looking forward to brain chips, quantum computers, artificial meat printers, nano robots, digital resurrection, and all kinds of other tech that will make the world a better place. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.